everybody, I'm Nick, and welcome to another VHS Plays Voter Special! So as you can see here, we're starting off with a certain famous fighting game here, or at the very least, the Genesis port of it. Well, the first one. So if we could just let the title get onto screen here, Street Fighter II Special Champion Edition. The first revision that Street Fighter ended up getting. And on this cartridge is also Hyper Fighting, but if you can see this difficulty here, for me, that's going to be a mistake. But we're going to primarily be playing Champion Edition on this cartridge, so Champion Edition includes the 8 World Warriors from the first Street Fighter II, but this is the first version where you get to play as the boss characters. And in addition, you can also do mirror matches for the first time, because the first version of Street Fighter wouldn't let you do that, so they have alt costumes now. You do that by pressing start. And I will be the first to tell you right now, I am not great at fighting games, so I am just going to struggle the best I can. So with the controller I'm playing with, it's actually kind of difficult to do like Shoryuken inputs, but that's just how it is. I'm also in general just like, I don't know what the lines are, and as you can see here, I was in for a time. So how about we flick over to the Super Nintendo real quick? And this particular SNES port is of Fatal Fury 2. Although you very likely already saw that by the title of the video, but whatever. Now, one thing in particular for Fatal Fury 2 is, once we flick over to the options screen real quick, I'm going to tone the difficulty level down so I can actually get to the end. Because I'll tell you that, as I said, I can't call myself that great. And for Fatal Fury 2, the first version, you've got only 8 characters to pick from, of which 4 of them return from the first Fatal Fury. Specifically Terry Bogard, Andy Bogard, his brother, and Joe. I'll remember his name when it comes up, but bleh, memory is bad. Big Bear here is actually a returning character for, specifically he was wearing a mask in the last game, and he was called Raiden. So by using wrestler terms here specifically, Raiden is his heel persona, and Big Bear is his face persona, so he's more of a good guy here right now. But we can see that I've actually got... It's much easier for me to actually play the game. But I think Fatal Fury in general is like, it's also fun to play. Street Fighter 2 and Fatal Fury 2 have their own quirks. But yeah, I end up losing this first round, so yeah, this is telling of what's to come if you watch all of the Street Fighter 2 footage I'm going to upload on the second channel, but I do eventually get my head in the game here. And if you see me look like I'm whiffing inputs, it's because I am. Like, I know Street Fighter 2 has strict inputs, but sometimes it's just like, I'm trying to do an input here. Let me do them! But I do end up winning against Ken. I do say that much. So let's just get on to the win quote and keep on going. So now we are off to China. Or rather, we're going to finish off that round with Big Bear first. But yeah, Fatal Fury was famous for having 2 different lanes of combat. And Fatal Fury 2 is where it actually started being relevant. So yeah. So let's go on over to our next round here in Korea. Kim Kafwan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, so apologies if I'm butchering that in English, specifically. So, with Fatal Fury 2, I did actually end up recording a second run, which we'll get to footage-wise in a bit, but since Kim's a Taekwondo fighter, he uses his kicks a lot. Say that much. So on to the second round here. You'll notice that the time of day changes between rounds, which I think was actually really cool. Just for some visual variety. But yeah, on the second playthrough I did, Kim was giving me some trouble even on level 2 difficulty. It was a bit of a beating, actually. And this is my trend when it comes to playing fighting game AIs, is I'm gonna get whooped. And yeah, don't ask me how that connected, it just does. Yeah, he really gets me with that jumping kick. But anywho, back to Chun-Li over here. Speaking of someone else who's famous for her lightning kicks. Different martial art, though. And I actually do manage to get a Shoryuken here and there. And yes, dizzies are a thing. Street Fighter 2 is a little weird when it comes to dizzy attacks, but I'm not... It's basically every attack has a random factor to dizzy you. So, I may have lost that... Yeah, I end up losing this first round, but I'll get her back. Just like that. Because sometimes I have to remember what my normal buttons and my proximity normal buttons do. It's a little weird. And sometimes even doing normal fireball inputs doesn't quite come out right on my 6-button Genesis D-pad, but oh well, we win the round. So let's flick back over to Andy Bogard. Let's see what you can do over in Italy. So for whatever reason, you're like, why is the Fatal Fury team Italian in King of Fighters 94? This is why. Because we didn't even have Fatal Fury 3 yet at the time, so all of the voice clips for Terry, Andy, and Joe, they're all from Fatal Fury 2. But that ends up getting fixed later on when we actually have the voice clips from Fatal Fury 3. Andy actually gives me, like, a small little bit of trouble, but not something I can't actually handle. So we just end up swapping over. Oh yeah, that's right. He gets the round 2 on me, but I come back for round 3. And of all the things I can do with Terry, the Rising Tackle input is the thing I cannot do on a Super Nintendo pad for whatever reason. Anywho, we are going to the USSR for Zangief. Fireballs are your friend. Keep those grapplers out of your range. Throw all of the fireballs that you can. Especially if they end up dizzying. You thought you were the grappler, but yeah, I was trying to do, for whatever reason, a Shoryuken input. But I win that round relatively easily. Trades are a thing. I wish to throw all the fireballs, and I anti-air him with the kick. Nice. With the Dragon Punch... Oh yeah, bonus round, but I'll use this moment to talk about to defeat my Dragon Punch. In previous versions of Street Fighter 2, that used to be, you must defeat Shen Long to stand a chance. Which was an incorrect translation, and it ended up becoming an April Fool's joke for so long that we eventually got Gouken in Street Fighter 4. But back to Fatal Fury 2 once again. We've got Chang over here. He's a peculiar little fighter in this game. Why did I call him little? When he's a rather stout man. I do actually really like the background for this stage, I will say. Very nice Chinese design. The projectile that Chang has is kind of weird because he lobs it rather than throws it straight forward. I'm not sure if I show it off here, but yeah. Chang has some very peculiar moves to use. Oh yeah, I should also probably talk about like what you can do at the flashing red health there. There are particular super moves you can do when your health is flashing red like that. But I don't know how to do well, specifically I don't know how to make the input come out, so you won't be seeing a power geyser in this video, unfortunately. If only I were better at fighting games. So how about we flick over to a bonus stage for Fatal Fury 2? And for whatever reason, we're doing this one in Thailand, because why not? It's just a case of, beat down the pillars. Just throw out a few light punches, and it's good enough. And make sure to change lanes over, because the objects are going to appear in both of them. It's just fastest to just use your light punch to break it. Anywho, I also eventually realized a heavy kick for Street Fighter 2's car bonus game is how you break it in time. So it was just a case of, I should have just pushed one button. Like a dummy. Yeah, I do end up finishing this one. Yeah, this is the last of the pillars, and I barely make it in time. 2 seconds to spare. So I end up getting a perfect bonus. And I don't know why I kept the count in here, but I did. Back to Street Fighter, we are off to India for Dalsim. And your very, very stretchy arms. Which, if I recall, also increases, you know, stretchy hitbox. So you can actually poke him too. And he tries to poke you. And this is the part where I get to say, yeah, on the arcade stage there were 6 elephants. In console ports there are only 4. Technical limitations, yada yada yada. But you still hear elephants cheer whenever somebody wins or loses. I don't really know how I end up clutching this one out. Fireball Wars! They are real. Yep. He tries to stretch his arms, but I poke him with my kick. I love disjoints. I would like to play with some of the other World Warriors at some point, because I decided for content to just stick with Ryu, but I feel like I really should try out some of the other characters. That's just me. Dalsim wasn't actually that problematic to play against. But anyway, back over, we've got our favorite ninja that isn't allowed in Smash Bros. Mai Shiranui. Because apparently Smash Bros. Is for good little boys and girls. Even though there are outfits for Mai which aren't that provocative, but what am I to say? On this stage in particular, Mai actually gets a move to use those spinning poles. But I don't end up seeing it here. But also the poles won't interrupt your, I don't know why I just end up standing there while she's in her, stun state. But, oh well. CPU is just spam attack, spam attack, spam attack. Your hurt box will get in my hitboxes somewhere. But not today. I don't know why, but throwing out bird knuckles is really satisfying to just quickly zoom across the stage. So we get that W, get that perfect bonus. Do we end up continuing over? Nope. Oh, right. It's time to explain this. This mirror match, for whatever reason, was a nightmare to play against. It was not fun. He kept whooping my ass a lot. Even the part was like, attack, attack, dizzy. We're just gonna combo you into oblivion. We're gonna re-dizzy you. It was pain. wish I could combo like them, but I don't know how. So let's just flick back over and, you know, see what happens with Joe here. He's the human storm because he throws tiger uppers. And they're tornadoes. So he's literally throwing the wind at you. Because everybody has to have a projectile. At least that's how it was for Fatal Fury 1. Everyone had to have a projectile move. Terry got his power waves. Andy has his own particular projectile. And Joe throws the wind. Actually, Andy has, like, the most fireball-esque fireball out of those three. Sweet kick move. I have a sweet punch move. Throwing power waves doesn't feel as great as throwing Hadokens, I will say that. But I think that's probably fine. So let's flick back over to where I can finally start beating this AI down. Finally getting myself a dub. And yes, getting myself into Fireball Wars. My hands were not happy with me about this. Why am I blocking that fireball? I'm at, like, no health. So it gets the round 2. But I finally get that dub. Yeesh! Let's move on to the next fighter, shall we? Back over in Japan, but a different part because it's sumo time. Edmund Honda, if I believe that's correct. For the most part, he's just called E. Honda here. So yeah, try to keep him out of your reach, because he will give you the slaps. And he could also just grab you to death. It is, yeah, those holds will hurt. Especially if you play higher difficulty AIs where they could mash buttons faster than a human ever could. Inflicting lots and lots of damage, basically being a kill if you aren't at full life. But we get the dizzies, get the knockdowns, and we beat him up in the corner. Honda, once again, wasn't that bad. I'm like, back it up, throw fireballs, throw fireballs. Let me get the dizzy, and I like to throw from a dizzy. Even though I should focus on learning re-dizzy combos. We have more bonus stage! It is bricks. This is another case where heavy kick does the best, at least I can actually clear the bonus game and get it perfect using heavy kicks. I think I eventually catch on to it. It does take a moment to scramble over anyway. Because heavy kick lets you hit it twice. Yeah, I finally catch on in that last little bit there. Oops! And this guy here, I feel like he gave me the biggest annoyance, Jubei here. Because for one, he is a tiny opponent. And he's also very quick to grab you. And then you can break those blinds by going between the lanes. But yeah, you can barely see him behind these things, so it's not so bad to break those by going back and forth between planes. Yeah, trying to use light and heavy power waves is like, the light one travels low but has fast startup. The heavy one has slow startup and is fast. But yeah, he'll get me. He'll get me good. I will also say, though, that in another timeline, which is the second playthrough, we actually somehow KOing each other, and it's hilarious. Like that. I feel like it's extremely rare to see double KOs. But in the end, I am able to catch back up and defeat this squirrely opponent with a jump kick between planes, for that matter. And that's the last of the 8 main opponents for Fatal Fury, but I feel like it's time to kick back over to Street Fighter, so how about we go ahead and, or are we just gonna go on in? Yep, no, we're flicking over. Because we still have Blanca to take care of. So apparently, according to manuals and such, he got his electric powers from eating eels. We had to come up with some way to be like, hey, here's how we got powers and stuff. Sometimes you just... the story doesn't always matter for these kind of games. You just want to push buttons and beat each other up. Even though, story is nice, though. I think the whole... oh, wow, the hole doesn't kill me. I think Blanca gets this first round. Well, let's just watch him. Yeah, he gets the first round because we trade. He just beat me up for a round or two. But I'll eventually get him. Yeah, he tries to spin into me. And then I also get him with a heavy kick. With that anti-air. So there goes the Blanca. And now for the final of the 8 World Warriors, it's time for class. Oh yeah, you could, if you mash start quick enough, you can rebind your buttons. But yeah, it's time for what's called Classic Street Fighter, Ryu versus Guile. Hadokens is a simpler input, but the charge motion for Sonic Booms is faster. I should probably learn charge moves playing as Guile. Yeah, he just gets me. There's nothing else other to say than that. But I'll come back at him. I did manage to persevere and get not only just the 1, but the 2 necessary knockouts. And that's the last of the 8 main Street Fighters. Oh wait, that's right, I forgot. They save your mirror match for last in Fatal Fury 2. I was wrong. Someone's gonna comment on that, I swear. I will say personally, as I'm recording this, I have no idea how this is gonna turn out. Because I saw the results of Tetris, and it's like, this is normally why I don't do fighting games that much, because like, I know I'm bad, and someone's gonna tell me like, yeah, you ain't that great at it, why'd you do it anyway? Because I wanted to, and I thought it would be funny. That's all I could really say. But with all of my rambling, we get the first win on Mirror Match Terry as we see Mount Rushmore in the distance. And I always forget the name of the track that plays here. But I know it has like several mixes in Smash, that's for sure. Well, by that I mean the original remix and also the original track. Specifically the arcade version, because I highly doubt you'd ever be seeing any of the ports music. Anywho, with a good old Buster Throw, we take down the mirror match. And I think Fatal Fury has another bonus game. Yep, we have another bonus game before we go on to the boss characters for Fatal Fury. So off to the good old United Kingdom? There's only 1 lane for this particular stage, so keep that in mind. We'll be coming back to it very shortly. And for this particular stage, light punching is gonna get you the win. It's not that much. This bonus stage isn't that complicated. Just get over to the bricks and punch them out. Especially crouching punches. Crouching punches are especially fast for whatever reason. At least compared to standing light punches. Yeah, you could clear this bonus stage no problem. So let's get all the points in there, shall we? Because I left that in once again. Which means we'll need to flick back over to Street Fighter. Because, yeah, it's time to deal with bosses, and... oh. Yeah, needless to say, the bosses were a difficulty spike and a half. They just kept whooping my ass over and over and over again. It was, quite a nightmare. And as you can see in this part, Balrog even gets a re-dizzy on me. How insulting! That just means, we've got some persevering to do. But let's get on to the bosses and actually one other returning character. Because we have Billy Kane from the United Kingdom, or Great Britain as it was called at the time. So yeah, if you get knocked into another plane, the background here actually damages you and knocks you back, so gotta be careful about that. And yeah, that stick has as much range as you think it does. And in this game, I don't think it has a hurt box attached to it, so... yeah. But for now, let's just, whoop Billy Kane. Sorry, in this version of the game, Geese ain't here. So let's keep going on through the other bosses. Here we have Axelhawk, who also has tornado punches as a projectile. And once again, the background can harm you if you get knocked into it. Oh yeah, he also has Sonic Boom-esque projectiles, which is kind of weird. And also, for whatever reason, the Power Wave also cancels them out, getting you your own Fireball War. How about you get in the corner and let me whoop you around the ring, sucker? This is what happens when, like, even on the easiest setting, it's not a complete cakewalk for me. So we'll get Axelhawk out of here. And if you were looking for the particular cornball translations, we got the cornier translation in the updated version of Fatal Fury 2, Fatal Fury Special. And in the ports, they censor Lawrence Blood's name. Because this was the 90s, and we couldn't have any reference to blood. Except when you're Street Fighter, for whatever reason. But then again, that was the Genesis port. And we got the blood on that one because Genesis was the cool kids console or something like that. And Lawrence, he can pull out a sword on you if you're not careful. Because, you know, he's a bullfighter. And yes, the bulls can hurt you if you're knocked into them. That's the thing with all of the sub-bosses here in particular. All of them have the second lane taken up with a obstacle that will hurt you. He may have gotten me in that second round, but I'll get him here even as I'm coming back from behind. We love a good old throw. So how about we go check back up on Ryu real quick? It was hard, but I do eventually get those dubs. And yes, I even got him crossed up with my Tatsu. I do eventually get that Vega by even beating him at his own throw game. I end up Tatsuing Sagat round 1, and then in round 2 we get the trade. Finally a trade in my own favor. And yes, there was one other bonus game mixed in there too, for kicks. I don't get this one either. But yeah, let's finally move on to the boss himself, M. Bison. Oh. How did this go? How did you think things went? This was the biggest of all the ass whoopings I got. It was horrific. Just loss after loss after loss. Even if I get like a win here or there, I was never able to convert the second win. It was pain. So, and things even get so bad, the battle counter maxes out and stays that way. And the tape was getting to the end. At the time I was recording, it was 1 a.m. My hands were not my friend. So, unfortunately, for the Street Fighter portion of this, I had to concede defeat. But one day, we will end up getting that revenge run. I will get there one day, but today is not this day, so for me, it's gonna be game over. But how about we go ahead and check up on Terry's final round, shall we? Yeah, we get some menacing music going into the final boss. And he also has a little monologue for us, just like how Geese had when we're going into his final boss. Wolfgang Krauser, who is also Geese's half-brother. And for this, I decided to show off the entirety of the fight, because I figure I had an easier time with this one because I chose to lower the difficulty setting down, so it doesn't matter what difficulty you play on in Fatal Fury 2, you will get your character ending. Which really isn't that much to it, but it's just how it goes. He gets me in round 1. I'll give him that. But I'll come back for these next 2 rounds. So let's go ahead and fight! He doesn't really use it here, but he does have a super attack called the Kaiser Wave. If you're familiar with that, you might have played some King of Fighters 94, where the boss of that stage, Rugal, takes the special moves of Geese and Krauser. So he can throw out Repukens and Kaiser Waves like they're nothing. Because, you know, SNK Final Boss Syndrome. I don't subject it to myself here, but it is a real thing. And for VHS Plays, I'm not sure if it's something I'll ever end up putting myself up against, because I don't think I am good enough to go through the sanity of SNK Boss Syndrome. And I actually get a few hits on him in the corner and then finish him off with a throw for the final round. Good job, Terry. You won. And I actually let the bonus click in. And with that, Terry Bogard is the world champion. And because this is a SNES cart, they actually have to affix a date to that. Because on the arcade machines, you could actually, based on the date you were playing, and no matter what, it's game over because that's the end of the game. But thank you so much for watching through all of this. I will have an announcement video coming up right after this, so please give that a watch. Thank you very much for watching VHS Plays Street Fighter 2 and Fatal Fury 2. Have yourself a wonderful day.